Hey everybody, Captain B-Nard back here with another Wi-Fi battle. Exciting day today because, as promised, I do have another new team for you guys at long last, which we will get into in just a second here. But our first match with that team today is going to be against Hybridcode Random Person Offline. And so, yeah, here is the new team on the left-hand side here. A good mixture of Pokemon that I've used before and that I've never used before. So, ones that I've used before would include the Milotic, the Incineroar, and the Galarian Weezing, although it has been a little bit of time since I've used any of those. And some Pokemon I've never used before on this team would include the Indeedee, the Hisuian Decidueye, and of course the Iron Thorns. So I am really excited to use this team here. It took me quite a while to put this team together. I've been pretty busy with real life as well, so that's why we had kind of a little mini pause here in content, but excited to be back with this team, and yeah, really looking forward to using it. So, interestingly enough, it seems like my opponent has a couple of the same Pokemon on their team, so, and yeah, it definitely looks to be an interesting matchup on paper. Not a ton of time to decide what to lead with, so I think we'll go with the Incineroar, and yeah, we'll go ahead and see how that works out. All right. So, there he is. And it looks like he's going to go ahead and lead with the Ninetales as we led with the Incineroar. So, we're going to go ahead, actually this thing is going to go ahead, I should say, and get the Drought to turn the Sunlight harsh, as we do get the Intimidate to cut this thing's attack. Now, not really going to matter since these things are always special attackers, so I think in this situation, what we'll do right out of the gate here is we'll just go for a knockoff, get some chip damage on this thing, and then we'll just go from there. I should say fake out, not knockoff. So we go for the fake out, get that chip damage, and of course the mandatory flinch on the Ninetales, which is good. This time around, we will go for the knockoff. I don't see any reason not to, so we're just going to go ahead and do just that, as this thing does nasty plot. So trying to set up in our face there, getting that sharp special attack increase as we do go for the knockoff in return, knocking this thing down to like 1 HP, but it does survive, unfortunately. So this means that something is going to have to take an attack from this thing. Now, we are max HP on the Incineroar, and we do have an Assault Vest, so I feel like we should be able to take at least one attack from this thing with Incineroar. So I think what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and go for the U-turn here. If he stays in, it'll take him out surely, so we will do just that, see what he wants to do. As he does go for a Flamethrower, it is +2 and in the sun. Takes us down by about a third, which is some solid chip, but we do go for the U-turn in return, and that will definitely finish that Ninetales off and knock him down to 5 Pokemon. So pretty decent start to the game for us as we do get the pivot. The only bad thing about this, of course, is we are going to have to show first. So what do we want to bring in here to face down this team is the question. I think we are going to go for the... I think we'll go for the Indeedee, because pretty much no matter what we bring in here, he's gonna get the matchup on us, so that's gonna force a switch. So we'll just come in with the Indeedee, Male, get the Psychic Surge, set the Psychic Terrain on the battlefield, and yeah, so like I said, he's gonna get to choose a matchup against us, so we'll probably have to switch out, but you know, it is what it is, as indeed he is going to go ahead and come in with the Rillaboom, and that is going to go ahead and activate the Grassy Surge, setting the Grassy Terrain on the battlefield, immediately erasing our Psychic Terrain. So we definitely don't want to stay in on this matchup, and I'm not 100% sure what I want to switch into this thing, but I feel like we do have quite a few good options here. We could go for the Incineroar, we could go for the Weezing, we could even go for the Hisuian Decidueye. How do we want to play this? I feel like we just go for the Hisuian Decidueye. I feel like that's probably a good way to go, so we're going to go ahead and do that. So there it is. Really excited to use this thing, actually, as I didn't get a chance to before. As he does go for the knockoff, I kind of thought that was a possibility. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but does get rid of our leftovers, which is unfortunate, as that thing will take some life orb damage, and then we are both going to get some HP back with the grassy terrain. So I don't really expect him to want to stay in on this matchup. Now, unfortunately, he has quite a few switches to us here. And I would, as much as I would love to go for a Swords Dance at this point, I don't think I can do that. So I feel like he probably switches out here. Now, we could go for either a Brave Bird or a Triple Arrows. I kind of want to just go for the Triple Arrows, as there's a high probability that we'll get some sort of secondary effect on that move. So we'll just go for the Triple Arrows, see what he wants to do here. I don't really want to set up just yet because he has too many switches, as he does switch the Rillaboom out. And he is going to go ahead and come in with the Incineroar. So that's actually perfect. That thing does come in. He does not get the Intimidate to lower our attack thanks to our Scrappy ability. We do go for the Triple Arrows, which is going to do a ton of damage to that thing, knocking it down to about a quarter. And we do get the defense drop, which is pretty awesome, as we also get some grassy terrain HP recovery. So does he. So I want to just check something real fast here. Speed tiers, actually. So with no speed investment, that is that number. And with no speed investments, that is that number. So we might be looking at a speed tie here, actually, although yeah, we might be very well looking at a speed tie here, which is a little unfortunate because I don't want to lose Hisuian Decidueye to an attack from this thing. How do I want to play this? Kind of want to come in with Incineroar, but at the same time, I don't know how well I don't know how well any of our Pokemon take a Sun-boosted Fire move. So yeah, it's going to be an open question. Not a lot of time to decide. Let's go ahead and come in with our Incineroar. We will get the Intimidate to cut his attack. So, but yeah, I don't want to lose Hisuian Decidueye just yet. It seems pretty valuable against quite a few of his team. So we come in with the Incineroar, get the Intimidate to cut his attack, as he does actually just double switch, interestingly enough. And he's going to go ahead and come in with the Hisuian Typhlosion. So interesting turn of events there. He's going to frisk and find our Assault Vest, so if he didn't know that before based on damage output, he knows it now. We do get some grassy terrain recovery, which is nice, and in this situation there's no reason for us not to just go for another knockoff, so that's exactly what we're going to do here. This thing does go for a Focus Blast, and unfortunately for him, he does miss, so that sucks for him. That is going to let us go for the knockoff in return. It is going to knock this thing all the way down to a Focus Sash, but he does survive because of it, and then we are both going to get some more grassy terrain HP recovery. So, interesting turn of events there. I don't know that the Focus Blast would have taken us out, though, but he did miss, so we didn't have to find out, although we might be in a situation where we have to find out now anyway, because we don't really have the best of switches to this thing. We do have an Assault Vest, and we know this thing's not choice specs, so I'm pretty confident that we can actually just take one, so I'm just going to stay in and U-turn here and see what he wants to do. He may not want to risk the miss. He does risk it again, but this time he connects with the Focus Blast, and we do take that barely with quarter HP remaining, go for the U-turn in return, and that is going to go ahead and get rid of that Hisuian Typhlosion, knocking him down to 4 Pokemon, as we do, of course, get the pivot once again. So, similar situation, because once again, we are going to have to show first here, because we knocked him out with a pivot move. And so I think what we'll do is, this time around, we'll go ahead and come in... What do we want to come in with? Yeah, we'll go ahead and come in with the Hisuian Decidueye, and the reason we'll do that is because I want to get that grassy terrain HP recovery. So sunlight, harsh sunlight is going to go away this turn, which is nice, and then we do get the grassy terrain recovery, as that is the last turn for the grassy terrain. So he is going to, in fact, go ahead and come in with his Indeedee now. This is the female, and he's going to go ahead and get the Psychic Surge to set the Psychic Terrain up on the battlefield. So, unfortunately for us, our best switch to this thing is our Incineroar, but of course that thing is pretty worse for wear at this point. We also have our own Indeedee to switch into this thing, which doesn't have the greatest of time facing it down. But yeah, we can't really stay in here with the Decidueye because we'll take a big shot or get knocked out, one or the other. So I think we'll actually go for the Milotic this time around, as hopefully we can handle some special attacks from this thing. So there it is. And he is going to go for the Reflect, which is not great. That is going to go ahead and increase the physical defense of all his Pokemon for several turns. In this situation, I think the best thing we can do is just go ahead and fire off a Scald at this thing, so that's exactly what we're going to do, as this thing goes for a Light Screen to get the special defense increase for several turns. Now we go for a Scald, doesn't do much of any damage to this thing. We do get the Burn, which is pretty handy, so that is going to be able to chip this thing down over time, which is nice, as it is going to go ahead and take some damage from the Burn. Now, unfortunately, with those screens up, we're not going to be doing too much damage to this thing. I'm not 100% sure how I want to proceed, because what I want to do is I want to get the Galarian Weezing in to defog those screens away, but I can't really get it in against this Indeedee, unfortunately, because I feel like, you know, obviously we don't want to take a big Psychic attack. So we could continue to try to chip this thing with Milotic. I think that's what I'm going to do until I get a better idea, so I'm just going to fire off another Scald, as he is going to go for the switch. So what does he want to bring in here? It's probably going to be, no, it's going to be the Espeon, interestingly enough. So that thing is coming in, and we are going to go for a Scald, which is going to do some decent chip to this thing through the screen, but not a ton. As now we're in a little bit of a pickle here. But I think, once again, I don't think the math has changed. I think we just keep firing Scalds at this thing. I think that's the best plan. He does actually have Grass Knot and goes for it, which does do quite a bit of damage to us, about 50%. We do go for the Scald in return, and we actually end up getting a critical hit taking out the Espeon, which is incredible, knocking him down to 3 Pokemon. So we definitely have some luck on our side in this game, as we are going to get some HP back with the leftovers. So that is a pretty incredible turn of events for us, as now he's going to go ahead and come in with the Rillaboom. So I'm going to go ahead and get the Grassy Surge to erase the Psychic terrain with the Grassy terrain. And so I obviously don't really want to stay in on this matchup here. I think this is our perfect opportunity to switch to the Galarian Weezing, so that's exactly what we are going to do. We should be definitely fit to handle any grass attack this thing throws at us if it wants to do that. So there it is, as he does go for the Grassy Glide. Going to do some chip damage, but not too much to us, as he's going to take some Life Orb damage there, get some HP back with the Grassy Terrain, and then we are going to get some HP back with the leftovers. So the Reflect is actually over this turn, which means I just want to check here. But I think that means that he actually wasn't, yeah, he actually was not Light Clay on the Indeedee, interestingly enough. So yeah, that is interesting. So I don't think it's really worth it actually at this point to defog, because the screens are going to be over. So let us go ahead, and I think our best course of action here is going to be to just fire off a Sludge Bomb, so that's what we're going to do. So he is going to U-turn, doesn't do much of any chip damage to us. He is going to take some Life Orb Recoil once again, and he is going to get the Pivot. So what is he going to want to come in with to face the Weezing here? It is going to be the Indeedee once again. So that thing comes in, and once again it will erase the Grassy Terrain with the Psychic Terrain, which is preferable to me, as we go for the Sludge Bomb. Doesn't do much of any damage here to this thing, and then we are going to get some HP back with the leftovers, as this thing is going to take some burn damage, leaving it at about 50%, and that is going to be the last turn for the Light Screen. Now, unfortunately, this is going to give him a pretty solid opportunity to go ahead and set those screens up once again. I feel like we can definitely just switch to the Incineroar here, so that's exactly what we're going to do, because I feel like he probably just goes for screens again, which there's not much we can do about that. We don't want to risk taking the big Psychic attack with Weezing, so we come in with the Incineroar, get the Intimidate, which isn't going to matter since this thing will be a special attacker, goes for the Reflect to go ahead and get that physical defense increase for several turns, and then takes some burn damage once again. So I think there's no reason for us not to just go for a knockoff here, so that's exactly what we're going to do. And we'll see what he wants to do. We may actually outspeed this thing. I think the speed tiers are pretty close, although no, I think this thing might outspeed us by a little bit. But yeah, we're just going to knock off. There's no reason not to. And we'll see what he wants to do. He does outspeed, go for the Dazzling Gleam. We do survive despite a critical hit. We survive with 15 HP in the red, which is incredible. Go for the knockoff and knock off the Terrain Extender. Unfortunately, that thing does survive the knockoff, but it won't be able to survive the burn damage. So the Indeedee is going to go down to the burn damage there, which is incredible, knocking him down to 2 Pokemon. So Incineroar is really just coming in clutch for us this game, just putting in the absolute work, which of course is incredible. So now he's going to come in with the Rillaboom, get the Grassy Surge to set the Grassy Terrain up, and Incineroar has definitely done its job this game, just put in the absolute work. So we're going to leave Incineroar in here and just click Flare Blitz, but we know he's going to outspeed, but he is actually going to go ahead and bust out his Terra this turn. So he's going to Terastallize the Rillaboom, and he is going to turn into a pure grass type. So going for the extra damage output on the Grassy Glide, no doubt. And so he does go for said Grassy Glide. It is, of course, boosted by the Grassy Terrain and the Terra and the Life Orb, and obviously we won't survive an attack from that HP with the Incineroar. So that does knock us down to 5 Pokemon as he takes some more Life Orb damage and gets some more HP back with the Grassy Terrain. But Incineroar did incredible that game. Absolutely incredible. So now the question is, what do we want to come in with to face this thing? We have a lot of options left, obviously, but I think the one we're going to go for is we're going to go for the Hisuian Decidueye. So I'm going to go ahead and come in with that. And so he's got the Rillaboom and, of course, the Incineroar left here. So we're pretty safe to go ahead and go for the Brave Bird here. I don't think there's any reason not to. We could actually Terra. I don't know if that is really going to matter or not, but you know what? I think we will just Terra for the extra damage output to ensure the KO on the Incineroar if he switches that in, and we'll just click Brave Bird, as he actually does go for the switch into the Incineroar, interestingly enough. So gonna switch the Incineroar in here, and yep, the Incineroar is so chipped it's not going to matter. He does try, obviously, go for the Intimidate, but the Scrappy is going to block that, as we are going to go ahead and bust out our Terra on the Hisuian Decidueye. And we are going to Terastallize into a flying type here, getting the extra damage output on the Brave Bird. And so, of course, we are going to go for said Brave Bird. It is now Terra boosted, max attack, and from that HP it will certainly be enough to actually, no, I suppose that I spoke too soon. It's actually not enough to take the Incineroar out. He survives with like 1 HP, thanks to, I almost forgot about the Reflect being up, so he actually ends up surviving thanks to the Reflect. So that was an unfortunate turn of events. We take some Rocky Helmet damage there, but it is what it is. So moving on from that, I don't think there's any reason for us to switch. We're just going to go ahead and click triple arrows here, as we do win the speed tie, if it was a speed tie, that is, because I think we might have a point in speed to break speed ties. So we do get the triple arrow to finish the Incineroar off and knock him down to just 1 Pokemon, as the Reflect is going to wear off this turn. So fortunately it didn't end up making a difference, as now he will come in with the Rillaboom, his last Pokemon, and there is no reason for us to not just click Brave Bird again, so that's exactly what we're going to do, as he is going to go ahead and forfeit the game there. So we are going to win that one 5-1 technically against Hybridcode, but that was a really good match, actually. Very close, very competitive. Well, maybe I shouldn't say very close, but highly competitive game. I think closer than the numbers would indicate, but it was definitely a highly competitive and very fun affair. And yeah, just a great showing of what Incineroar can do out there in competitive play, and I think definitely a very solid showing for this team in its first outing. So, but yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching again, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed. Please hit that like button, leave a comment, and/or subscribe if you did enjoy, and stay tuned for more new battles in the future. So that's it, and we'll see you next time.